Hello, I am Trevor Beckenhauer, and this is my digital documentary on standing water in landscape systems. So, what is standing water? Standing water is a stagnant body of water, including puddles or ponds of rainwater or drain water. In a landscape system, it is a relatively common problem in the U.S. It can cause inconvenience by creating muddy, waterlogged sections of lawn. These temporary pools attract mosquitoes and other pests, especially in the summer. The ponding mars the appearance of residential landscaping. Poor drainage may ultimately damage building foundations, walkways, and other structures. So let's look at the reasons why we have it. Why are the causes for standing water? A heavy sloping terrain, so something that is probably 5% slope or more, and large amounts of recent precipitation. So that can be either rain, hail, or snow. So hail and snow melting. Artificial obstructions, including retaining walls, concrete patios, or a strong fence line. Moist, fine soils that do not drain properly, and soil disturbance and misplaced plants. So, a heavy sloping terrain in a landscape can lead to many things, including erosion and large pools of water. Improper drainage and water finding its lowest point will often lead to a mudslide. Installing a French drain is an effective route to take. A French drain is a large hole at the bottom of the slope where most of the water pools up, filled with river rock, so nothing could fall into water. Some landscapes have many French drains in one area to completely rid the water, and it might also help to make a small trench that the water can go to on the way to the drain to help minimize erosion. So here's some examples. Over here you can see that they have a pipe in here, so that's probably leading to a drainage, or some people have a large pool in the bottom of their landscape for water drainage. And here you can see a beautiful example of the drainage right here. So here's the river rock, and this is even a trench, most likely with a pipe leading to a storm drain. So next is the large amounts of recent precipitation. Heavy rain can leave standing water if the soils do not drain properly. It is common to be near the house foundation, which can lead to water leaking into the house, and that is as we all know, not good. Soils drain naturally, and some drain faster than others. If your soils around your house are more sandy, it will drain quicker than a clay or silty soil, but we'll get into that later. Installing a flood-proof plant by your house and having a rain garden is becoming more common these days. These rain gardens are designed to redirect water, soak up, and look pretty well doing it. A rain garden can take water runoff from roofs, patios, driveways, and lawns. They can reduce standing water by 30% and move 80% of sediments from the rainwater. So here we have some gorgeous examples, and I wrote down some of the plants that I recognized in here, so some sedum, coreopsis, and catmint, and then some perennial grasses around here. And it looks like they also have some kind of French drain here to help get rid of some of that water. And here's a more residential commercial area that they would have in a median. So here's the storm drain, and it goes directly into this rain garden. So that is a very good way to get rid of all of the standing water in your area. Another thing that can cause standing water is an artificial obstruction, and those include retaining walls, patios, cement driveways, and a hard fence line. Rainwater and sprinkler water can pool pool up in these areas and cause erosion by making a natural trench along the side of these artificial obstructions. And the reason I put this here, this wood fence, if the water pools up around a wood fence, it's just going to rot, and nobody wants that. It would make a massive mess. So, of course, any of these previous ways would work to combat these problems. But I was thinking more of a man-made trench because it is the most cost-effective route and cost-efficient. Because I know that me and my father actually did this in our yard because we had a similar problem where gravel was draining into the lawn from our driveway, and that is not what we wanted. So all we did was dig a trench down to our pond, and the water goes to it every time. So that's all it takes. So here we see, so this is probably a storm drain, or no, a gutter that's leading to this right over here and causing some flooding to happen. And clearly that's not what you want because it's really spotty over here and it's just going to kill everything over here and cause a big dead patch. So this is a little bit more what I was thinking, a trench, but this is an absolutely gorgeous example, and it really does not have to be this hard, but this thing's popping off right here. I love this. So the next thing is most moist and fine and poorly drained soils. So the most common reason for standing water in your landscape is likely the soil texture. Clay soils are incredibly fine and have a massive surface area, causing them to stick together more than any other soil type, like sand, silt, or loam. So clay drains slower than any other soil. So the goal is to replace it or incorporate it into a faster draining soil. So the best way is to hire a professional to take care of it for you. But what they'll do is called soil correction, which means they will remove some of the clay and incorporate something called Conbit. Conbit is a mixture of recycled asphalt and concrete, and provides more support for a home, garage, driveway, or patio, and will also drain a lot better than clay. So here are the examples of the website I researched, which is right here. So it's going to look a little bit like this. Clearly, we have a ton of standing water here. This soil is not draining correctly, and it's getting right on that foundation of the house. So that's what we want to avoid. And we've all seen this before, right? The standing water and maybe a cornfield or something of that sort, just causing absolutely gross mud. It's just not fun. So this is the Conbit that I was talking about, and some red rock gravel and granite aggregate that might be different options for maybe aesthetic appeal or cost efficiency. And these are the worst things to have near your house for drainage purposes. So the last thing, the last cause would probably be soil disturbance and misplaced plants. If you have an annual garden for vegetables, annual flowers, or even perennial garden, you can help stop snow melt from eroding it by placing cover crops in the fall, or planting cover crops in the fall. So most people use cover crops in an agriculture system, but I was thinking we could introduce it into a landscape system by planting some similar agriculture plants, which would be vetch, rye, and clover, to help absorb the snow melt in the winter and improve your overall landscape system. And if you have problems with erosion in the spring and summer, these plants will help solve it. So I looked these up. These are great plants for helping with erosion. The creeping juniper and myrtle, creeping myrtle, forsythia, Japanese spurge, spotted dead nettle, border grass, black mondo grass, creeping phlox, interrupted fern, and finally rock-spray cotoneaster. Plant these plants in a place where you have a big water pool or at the top of a hill to stop erosion. So here's a really nice example. It is next to a wood fence, but you can see that around here it's really wet. So it's not so much of a slope, but it is placing some plants to help get rid of those standing pools of water. And here's in a garden, but it's probably around an agriculture system where they're placing cover crops, because I couldn't find any examples of anybody using cover crops in a landscape system. So I was thinking that it would probably work the same if you just wanted to plant some of these crops right over here and in your landscape system to help mitigate the snow melt and rain erosion. So the conclusion is standing water is a hazard and an eyesore, and it can be mitigated in a number of ways. Each problem has a different solution. So it's important to identify the problem, locate the source, identify the solution, and do your research when you are completing your project. All right, that's it for me. I appreciate you listening, and have a good one.